Good morning, I am Gushin Galan and you're watching our special coverage on Operation Sindoor. And here are the top updates. Hello and welcome to Firstpost special broadcast. India has successfully targeted and hit terror camps and hubs in Pakistan, avenging the April 22nd Pahalgam terror attack. Let's take a look at the top developments. Dubbed Operation Sindoor, the Indian Armed Forces carried out high-precision missile strikes. 9 terror targets in Pakistan and Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir have been hit. 12 terrorists have been killed and 55 people have been injured. These strikes were carried out at 1:44 a.m. on May 7th, which is just a fortnight after the Pahalgam terror attack that claimed lives of 26 innocents. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has vowed to pursue the perpetrators of the attack and those who took part in its conspiracy to ends of the earth to inflict punishment on them beyond their imagination. In a press release, India's Ministry of Defence said the actions of the Indian Armed Forces have been focused, measured and non-escalatory in nature. The Indian government has stated that no Pakistan military facilities or infrastructure have been targeted. The release further stated that India has demonstrated considerate restraint in selection of targets and methods of execution. These 9 targets include the strongholds of terror groups Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. The strikes were carried out in Muzaffarabad in Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir, in Kotli Gulpur, Bhimpur, Sialkot and Chak Amru. Murdike, which is the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba terror group headed by Hafiz Saeed, has also been hit. It also called the terror nursery of Pakistan, and Bahawalpur, which is the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed headed by Masood Azhar, has also been completely damaged in the strikes. The name Operation Sindoor is also of a key significance in context to the Pahalgam terror attack. Sindoor is vermilion used by Hindu women to mark matrimony. Hindu men were singled out and killed by terrorists in Pahalgam on April 22nd. In 2016, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India carried out precision surgical strikes on terror launch pads across the line of control. This was almost 10 days after the Uri attacks, in which 4 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists from Pakistan entered a brigade headquarters and killed 16 soldiers. In 2019, the Indian Air Force struck terror camps in Balakot across the international border in Pakistan. This was after a Jaish-e-Mohammed suicide bomber targeted a convoy of CRPF soldiers in Pulwama, killing 40 soldiers. Surgical strikes, Balakot strike and now Operation Sindoor make 2 things very clear. Pakistan has been sheltering, harboring and exporting terrorists, and that India will not back down in its fight against terrorism. Hi Glenn, your response to India's strike on Pakistan. What is your response?
Well, I think as the Indian government said, it is a clearly measured response, although a strong one. 9 sites is a lot. But by stating that it was measured and defensive and that we, India, did not strike any military facilities, but only terrorist-related ones, the government is sending a clear message that it wanted to make a point that terrorist attacks will not be allowed or go unpunished, but that India does not want to see matters spiral out of control or much greater. So now the responsibility is on Pakistan to see how it responds and whether it feels compelled for sake of honor in the eyes of its public to do something in response.
India's strike, while sending a firm message to Pakistan, is a responsible one, while attacks were only on terror targets. What do you have to say about that?
I think that is an accurate statement. Yes, of course, Pakistan is going to beat its breast and cry that this is an unprovoked attack and totally unjust and will defend our honor and so on. Any government will probably have to do that, even though it is known that Pakistan has for decades, through its intelligence service, used terrorist organizations to try to advance its policies, which are to create trouble for India in Kashmir specifically. But it is we're involved in a classic dynamic of terrorist attack, government response, defensive protection of honor by the now receiving party, which is Pakistan. The wise step, if Pakistan wishes to avoid escalation, would be to signal informally behind the scenes to India that it will, for the sake of honor, take some measure, but give India time to prepare for it and then to blow up a bomb next to a base without killing anybody. But I don't know if Pakistan will be that wise.
India informed its allies, including the US, right after the attack, once again behaving responsibly. Your reaction to that?
I think that's true. Yes, it's wise in India's interest to advise in advance allies and even not allies that here is what we're doing, here are our objectives, here is how it is limited, here is why, and then to do it. Something that the average person, I think, doesn't really know is in diplomacy and in negotiations. And what is this but a negotiation with bombs in some sense? Uh, you always want your adversary, your counterpart, to know in advance, just about always, what you are going to do and why. That creates trust, helps avoid unintended consequences. It doesn't guarantee it, but it's a responsible thing. And so India has acted in a classic diplomatic, military, intelligence fashion in this regard. It seems to have been a carefully calibrated response, but it doesn't guarantee that things won't spiral off worse, of course.
Speaking on reactions, President Trump has already reacted. What do you think going forward will the US's response? Is there a fear that Pakistan will escalate tensions?
Well, there is certainly. Now, the Secretary of State Rubio's statement, which I think is so far as I'm aware, the official response of the U.S. was to acknowledge the act and to call for restraint and to avoid escalation. By acknowledging the act, it actually tacitly, the United States accepts, does not criticize, and implicitly views as justified the action that India took, and it cautions Pakistan, who now has the responsibility to decide what to do, not to escalate. So it was a measured response, and the U.S.'s interest is that there not be an escalating war. And so that's what it seeks to say, while neither criticizing Pakistan nor explicitly congratulating or supporting India. So it was also a classic response, but one that has cautioned Pakistan, frankly.
Thank you very much for your insight, and thank you for joining us on First Post.
Anytime.
We will continue to track all updates and bring you the latest on India's strike against Pakistan and its terror. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.